Hello and welcome to Ask Me Anything round 2. I've already done one of these a while back. It was like almost a year ago. And I want to do another one. So here we are. I asked on my Discord, I said, hey, I want to do this. What questions do you have for me? Ask me anything. That's the point of it. Ask me anything and I'll answer. So they went ahead and asked me some great questions and we're going to talk about them. First, I'm going to pour myself a little bit of mango mead. It's been aging for about 2 years, made with a pure mango wine base. And it actually won 3rd place in a category a while back. But that's not what you're here for. You're here for questions, and I have them here. So, from my Discord, question number 1. Texas Longhouse Mead asks, if you could drink one mead for the rest of time, what would it be? I've thought about this a lot recently because, you know, it's like desert island mead style. I would probably go with a hopped mead. I've really loved hopped meads recently, and they're like a great all year round, a good hybrid between a beer and a mead. You still get your honey character if you do it right. Probably a hopped mead of some sort. That's been my most recent craze, and I think it's probably going to be a long-term craze. Captain Fun Pants says, if you could drink 2 meads for the rest of the time, what would it be and why? It can't be apple cinnamon. Well, like I said, hopped mead. And if I had to do something else, I honestly have been loving like fruited, like a blueberry mead. My blueberry mead recipe recently has been really good. Also, like we've done some tropical fruit stuff. Anything within that fruit department. So blueberry is probably up there, although I don't think that's a year-round sort of brew. Bucky asks, how long should I age my mead with coconut water? Well, according to all my resources, I have seen you have to go at least 9 months before it is solid, so you should really consider that. But funnily enough, I am putting that same thing to the test, and I'm doing it in the most man-made mead fashion possible. You'll see that video in a year, so get excited. Larry R says, what's a good name for a cat? Well, I had a cat named Gavin. I'm a little bit partial to that name because he was my cat. Chester? Name your cat Chester, maybe? Captain Fun Pants also asks, what's your favorite yeast and why is it DV10? It's not DV10. Honestly, this might shock you. I've had a lot of really great brews come from Lalvin K1V1116. Pretty clean fermenter, but doesn't blow off aromatics and stuff. I use that for my apple cinnamon recipe and it keeps a lot of really nice apple character in it. So that's pretty good. Other than that, I use, like Kveik Lucha. That's a great one, especially when it's hot. You can ferment with that. Lalvin 71B, Lalvin QA23 for things that are tropical. But like a go-to, if I was just picking one, honestly would probably be the K1V1. Kevin Meitzma asks, what should I make? If you don't know Kevin, he is a very great mead maker in our world, and he's made a lot of really good mead. But if I was answering your question, Kevin, we're hitting the summer time, and I have a very great Piña Colada mead recipe that I am actually brewing again. I started some just a few minutes ago. I'm doing that some more. I'd recommend that one. There's also a video on it. Larry asks, is there a project or idea that you'd like to do if money was no object? I think the bigger thing, well, money is definitely always going to be an object. One of them is like time and space is the really big thing for me. Like an even larger scale yeast test with multiple different fruits. Like I would love to be able to shoot out all the possible yeasts I could find with an apple recipe, and then all the yeast I could find with a blueberry recipe, and just go through that. That's like a lot of space issues. I wouldn't have to do it in big batches, but that would be really fun. Honestly, I loved getting to do like no water brews. If I just could, press fruit all the time, it'd be really fun to just do a lot of like no water blueberry or like a no water peach again and do it on an upscale, larger scale. Stuff like that would be really interesting. I'm not really into like the wild kinds of honey. I'm not like, oh, let me try this elvish honey because that stuff's silly. Fat Brisket asks, how can I stop my fermentation and when to know that it's done? Using a hydrometer, of course. You can record your gravity at the start, and of course when it's done, normally that will tell you when it's done fermenting because it'll probably level out to 1.000 or stay stagnant. stopping fermentation is best done when that fermentation is completed and you can stabilize it. There are methods by which you can try and halt fermentation, but they're really hard and not preferred in my opinion. Pokeyman asks, what's the best way to keep pet hair from getting near your brew? My dog does not shed that much, thankfully, so I don't really fight that, but I would say like a lot of tape if you're just trying to pick it up, or just leaving all of your buckets and stuff you're not using upside down. That can help. Other than that, I don't know, man. He also asks, what do you do once primary fermentation is finished and where to go from there? Normally, you can decide at that point if you want to make it sweeter. You can go through the process of halting all possible fermentation via stabilizing with the potassium sorbate and metabisulfite, or pasteurizing. Back sweeten, you can add other flavors. You can oak it if you think it needs oak. You can add acid for acid balance. Bunch of options with that. Essentially, that's your playground to go forward and continue to refine that brew. Baron says, is there some area of mead making that everyone regards as best practice that you're just not so sure about? I feel like this one feels a little bit on the nose, but I've done the rehydrating yeast, at least dry yeast, before pitching them. And I know that a lot of people talk about that. I don't necessarily always run into issues with it. I'm not doing big enough batches to where I'm needing to create a colony necessarily. I'm just going to use that whole packet. I'm sure it could save money. If I were to rehydrate yeast, I could use less and build a colony and do that. But I don't do that. I'm not to say I'm skeptical of the process because I understand why you do it. I just don't personally do it all the time. Law says, this may be answered in a prior video, but a question I've been wondering lately is when is it best to front load versus stagger nutrients? So I personally stagger all my nutrient stuff. If it's like above 1100, like I normally do that, or maybe like 1090 or something like that for my starting gravity, because I feel like that will help them chew a little bit more efficiently through it. Under that point, I'll front load my yeast nutrient and let it go. And I've had good success both ways. Staggering is always best if you can do it, but when you start 30 million brews at once, you can't always stagger easily. Tank asks, what's a practice you used to believe was important / mandatory, but now don't think it matters as much? I think it's that rehydrating yeast for me personally. I don't know that I've needed it in my brewing just yet. Other than that, I pretty much follow all the main practices and believe in them, honestly. I think that is important. I'm a big skeptic of lots of these pasteurizing methods because they're quite dangerous. So I would much rather, I'm not going to say I'm skeptical of them or don't think they matter, because that matters if you don't want to use sorbates, metabisulfites, but also they're sketchy. So just be careful if you're going to pasteurize in the multiple ways you can pasteurize. All right, those are just from my Discord. I did not put it on my YouTube page. I didn't put it anywhere else, and that's not because I didn't want to. I just used my Discord. If you want to join my Discord, discord.io/manmademead, link down below. You can join us and chat. If you want to know a question, or if you want me to answer a question, leave it down in the comments of this, and maybe I'll get to it next time. I love getting to answer questions for you and learn from you, and hopefully you guys get to learn more about me and my process and all of those things. I've yet to find a question that I'm not willing to answer. So we'll see if you can pose one of those questions. Thanks for watching. This is on the Man-Made Mead Extras channel. So feel free to subscribe here if you enjoy this stuff. Go check out the main channel, and cheers.